All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power, and in this video, I want to talk about George Peterson, who announced on his Instagram a couple days ago that he's going to be switching to the 212 division after taking third in the Classic Physique Olympia 2019, which is back-to-back third-place placings. He also took third back in 2018. Now, this is after, obviously, that Olympia placing and also an interview with head Olympia judge, Steve Weinberger, where even Steve in that interview said pretty much what a lot of people have been echoing, is that George has more of a bodybuilding physique than a classic physique. And that's pretty much what I was saying about George after he won the Arnold Classic Physique division, as I viewed him more as a bodybuilder than a classic guy. And it really kind of muddies the waters a little bit as to what the definition or what the judge's definition of classic is. Obviously, with the switch up of champions, Breon and Chris Bumstead, what the judges are looking for is clearly changing. And I think George made the right decision taking the physique that he has to 212. And I think, had he done the 212 Olympia this year, he probably would have won. Because the thing about George is there's nothing wrong with his physique. He's got good shape. He's got good structure. He's got a phenomenal back. His back shots are hands down some of the best back shots in classic physique from a muscle mass standpoint. He's probably one of the most muscular pound for pound guys in the classic physique lineup today. And on top of being one of the most muscular guys in the classic lineup, he also brought an insane level of conditioning, especially this year. I thought he looked phenomenal this year. And that's what I've been saying, from year to year when we see him compete. He's a phenomenal bodybuilder. He's got a great physique. He brings great conditioning. But I just don't see him as a classic guy. And in that interview with Steve Weinberger, when Steve was asked to define, what makes a classic physique, Steve basically said flow and lines. So still a very subjective definition of what classic physique is. And then to hear, head judge Steve Weinberger say that George has more of a bodybuilding physique, but George still took third in the classic physique lineup, it still leaves a lot of guys confused what exactly they're looking for in classic physique. Now, another guy who there's been some speculation that might move up to 212 is Peterson. Now, personally, I think Keon has a lot better flow and a lot more aesthetic physique, a much smaller waist, a much better V-taper than George Peterson has. And I personally would really like to see Keon stay in the classic physique division. Again, this was Keon's first classic Olympia ever, and he took fourth place here. And he's a very young guy. I believe he's only been training a few years or competing a few years or something to that effect. So while I think George is making the right decision, because I think he probably could have won the 212 Olympia this year, because honestly, it was wide open. Everybody thought Derek was going to win. Derek was off. Kamal won, but I think Kamal really won on conditioning. I think 212 is a good move for George. But for Keon, I would really like to see a guy like Keon really work on refining his physique, refining his conditioning, because his conditioning at this year's Olympia did look good, but I still think it could be better. And an even better conditioned version of Keon, I think, is a top 3 classic physique Olympian, possible Mr. Olympia winner. I mean, everything about Keon from head to toe is like, this guy's a genetic freak. This guy, not only does he have these crazy muscle bellies and these crazy genetics, to put on, obviously, a tremendous amount of size. Now, he does claim to be natural. We're not going to debate about that in this video, but assuming he might be, insane genetics on this guy. Even if he's not natural, still insane genetics on this guy. And the way his body is built and the structure that he has, I think he should stay in classic physique. And honestly, and I was talking to a guy at the gym about this the other day, I think classic physique is going to be one of those divisions where you have a lot of different champions in the next 10 years. I don't think classic is going to be a situation where there's a Phil Heath in classic physique that just dominates for 7 years, or a Ronnie Coleman of classic physique that just dominates for 8 years. I think the standards of judging are so subjective in classic, and the physiques are so different in classic, that there's going to be a different champion probably every 2 years at least in classic physique. I think you're almost never going to see a 6, 7, or 8-time classic physique Mr. Olympian. And I think that's what makes the classic physique division so exciting, because you don't know who's going to win. It's really a toss-up every time. You don't know who's going to place where. It's phenomenal. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already. Nick Strength and Power now at 778,000 subscribers.